I am really excited to talk to Louisa Schaffgotsch today. Louis, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be on here. Thank you so much. I'm Anna Luisa. I've completed my master's in biotech a while back, in and focused on neurophysics actually as a major, and then spent the last 10 years working in life sciences companies, commercializing different life sciences technologies from bioinformatics to pharmaceutical track and trace. And then one day had the idea of implantables and how they can change the world and how we can do good with implantables out there. And took a team and spun that out of Imperial College in London, which is also my old university, and specifically around biosensors. And we decided actually to go into fertility. And I think the reason why we went into fertility is because we're 70% female founded. And we said, this is where we need more solutions. There are already solutions for diabetes, there are solutions for cardiovascular disease, but for fertility, there is no solution for hormone monitoring. And we started building an implantable device that enables us to monitor hormone levels in real time with high convenience and extremely high accuracy. And we're applying this to the IVF sector, where when women do IVF, they have to go into the clinic every single day to give blood. And that is extremely inconvenient, but also the doctor doesn't actually get the data they need. They get the data that is outdated because it's not real time. And so this is the bridge that we're doing so that we can help women in that space. But ultimately, of course, hormone monitoring is important for everyone. I think every woman out there knows one point in their life where hormone monitoring would have been the thing to have and wasn't possible. And so ultimately, we do it for all women out there.
Louis, I'm so enthused. You're the founder and CEO of a femtech company called Impli, which is what you've described. I would love to know a bit more about that journey. You obviously studied something very sciencey that is sort of Chinese for most people. So I would love to understand how you thought that that's a good thing for you, and also the start of your company, raising capital. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, it's been a journey. I've always been interested in entrepreneurship. I studied science, but we had a couple of business modules, and so I got slightly entangled in the in between. What can you do with a science degree? Lots of things, actually. So I ended up in the intersection, and I started commercializing different science technologies in my first part of my career. But always with the kind of background of I want to bring more change to the world. I want to bring technologies to the market that aren't there yet, so we can find better solutions of doing things in the future. And so I had this idea actually, and decided to write it down. Decided to do research at home to see how does it work, how can we develop something like that, and then from a scientific network, obviously, which not many people have, and not many people, learn how to do the intersection of both. With the scientific network that I had, I went back to find the right team with the right background in this space to help me finish the development side of it. What we do is extremely innovative. We work with technologies that have, just come out of, Nobel Prize work. So that's exciting for us. That's exciting for the industry as well. It's never easy to run a business, and I've been part of a few now, so this isn't the first rodeo somewhere, but every time is a new one. It's quite interesting because you suddenly have to know a lot of things about a lot of things, but you can't be an expert in everything. That's impossible. So you have to find the right team to bring together. And I think there's a skill to be had about bringing a team together and motivating them to participate in your vision and to build the vision out with you. Of course, fundraising was difficult, as it is always. But I think we managed very well, and I actually think we got the right funding partners on board in the end. We raised 1.2 million so far. We're raising another 5 million now. With biotech and medtech and pharma, you have to raise large amounts of money, right? It's because you need a laboratory, you need a team, you need to file intellectual property, and you need to think about all of these things, regulatory affairs as well, to bring the product to market. And so that can be a challenge at times. Especially, we made it through the pandemic. We didn't stop. We continued. That was a feat in itself. And we've hit points of the market that were really interesting, like COVID, for example, just elevated healthcare and the importance of it. And so I think we just hit the right market in the right time as well. And we have the right supporters, and we cling on to those supporters that built the vision with us.
It sounds so exciting, Louis. I'm really, really so excited. I feel magnetic just listening to you. And so much of what you said is so good and so right. I'm wondering, Louis, where is your product at right now?
We're actually at the most exciting time of our business, I think. So we're doing animal trials in less than a month now. That is a huge feat. So animal trials for us will, be the unlocking step to the future. If it works in animals, it works in humans. And so we've been working towards that for the last 2.5 years now. So it's been a while. We are then at the end of this year doing human feasibility trials, and then we're going into human clinical trials the year after that. Every time we need to validate a step more, different validations for different reasons. We work in a clinical and a regulated space. We need to prove safety. We need to prove efficacy. We need to, quality is our main driver as a business. And so that's what we're working towards from the milestones we have.
So if I understand that correctly, in 3 or 4 years, this could be a viable product on the market.
Yeah, our aim at the moment is 2025 go to market. And if it all goes well, then 2025 it is. And we'll be helping millions of women undergoing IVF treatments and really suffering from not being able to monitor their hormone levels. I mean, if you had to go to a clinic every single day to give blood, it's very disruptive.
Yeah, and every life phase, teenage years, especially menopause years. I mean, I have to go every couple of months. It's not fun, I can only say. So yeah, it sounds amazing. Louis,
sure.
What else can that technology be used for? You're doing it for something very particular, but I'm sure this can be used for many different things.
You're right. I mean, it's actually our long-term vision, right? The fertility market is, sometimes I get told, oh, you have such a niche market. And I look at them, I'm like, this is a mass market. This is 51% of the world. This is not a niche market. But obviously diabetes has a very large value attached to it. And so does cardiovascular disease, which are big markets out there, definitely interesting for us. What we're building is a platform technology. So we work with RNA and DNA sequences in the form of aptamers to do sensor-based elements. And so we can exchange these sensors to monitor different molecules. So our aim is obviously to scale into the variety of use cases and to really promote remote medicine, which is just not possible without remote diagnostics, because you need to, if you want to keep people in general out of hospitals, that's not going to work without being able to diagnose them as well. And so that's where the long-term vision is going. And that's where we think we can add significant value by offering precise biomarkers to people.
Amazing. Louis, what would you say is your biggest motivator?
Being able to promote something that is out there, that is different, that will change things. I think in the past, and it was very frustrating for me, people take the least risky path to solve a solution. But sometimes the least risky path isn't actually going to get you a solution. So everyone's kind of playing chicken and egg around something that actually needs to be done and needs to be brought forward. And so what excites me about this is being able to do that and being able to deliver that to the market. And of course, when you run a business, it's not just about you know, the bigger vision and so on. It's also about the smaller things that happen on a day-to-day level, where you can help people out, where you can talk to people and teach them how to do things, where you can enable people. It's actually been really humbling to be running a company like this, because we enabled so many people to reach a part of their career and a point that is also really lovely. So I think that there's the high level, this is what motivates me. And then there's the day-to-day where I'm like, actually, this is so rewarding because you're giving back to a community.
Amazing. Louis, what would you say is your superpower? What makes you so good at doing what you do?
It's a tricky question because you really have to think about who you are in that. I think I'm relatively resilient to being okay to not be mainstream, being okay to, you know, in the beginning when we started fundraising, almost every VC went up to us and they were like, why don't you just do software? Why don't you just do software and then we'll give you the money and you do the software? And I had to look at them and be like, that's just, you know, there's enough software companies out there. That's just not us. And just doing software isn't the solution here. That's exactly why we're doing what we're doing. So I think being slightly stubborn is a superpower every now and again. When sometimes it's not, but most of the time it's actually really good to stick to those guns and to, you know, be a little bit different than everyone else, because that's exactly what brings new innovation forward. And I think that's a superpower that I for sure have got.
I love that, and it deeply resonates. I think I share that, and I think many people share that, and sometimes don't allow themselves to occupy that space and take up that space. Louis, what would your top tips be for other women? Maybe women who have entrepreneurs, have founded something and find themselves in that phase where they just can't drum up any money.
Yeah, pull through, believe in it. I mean, like there was a long part of the business where I was self-funding my own life, you know, because you just can't. And I meet many women in the same place, actually also men. You know, you start a company and then you just fund your lifestyle, which is important at the beginning of a company, because you don't want to spend that valuable money on salaries, and then also, you know, complicated before you've even validated there was a market. So I think it's like the pulling through and finding new ways to kind of make it through those milestones. There's always a way where there's a will. I think that's really important. I think not being afraid to pivot. We had to pivot. We had a very significant pivot during COVID because we were locked down. And we launched a product to market that is basically an implantable that holds medical records, because that was our lowest hanging fruit. And we were like, great, we'll just generate some revenue and show people how the technology works and so on. And COVID happened, and we could, you know, we had just invested all of our money into one product and we had to pivot, and we did. And so I think not being afraid to pivot when the time is right for it, definitely for other founders that are out there, I think that's important. And otherwise, just stick to your guns and don't move. I think that's the most important.
Thank you so much for this excellent advice. Louis, last question. What are your dreams or plans for your future, which is directly linked to Impli's future?
Yes, which is somewhat linked to Impli's, especially professionally, right? Linked to Impli's future. So I'm hoping that we can achieve the milestones that we've put forward, that we can actually change the way that medicine is done in many ways, and that we know how the healthcare system to work at. I'm hoping, you know, we can build that positive future, but personally also, I'm a big believer in being able to lift up the community in general. Not only in the fertility space, also the female founder space. I was blessed to know a lot of very great female founders that have, you know, helped me for sure step up and role models in this space. And I think that that is something that I wish to see change as well. That there are opportunities out there. There's, you know, that at every point, and I think everyone wants that to lift up as well. So I think that's a good time. And yeah, and move on like this. I mean, it's been so gratifying and rewarding to do this journey.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. That was a really exciting conversation.
Thank you so much. And thanks for everyone who's listening and taking the time.